Hey, what's going on there, YouTube?
Yo, YouTube, what's up?
This is SEL0320.
This is Joe Johnson 030.
Representing JVS. We're going to make this quick and to the point. This is a spoiler-filled review.
Yep.
Okay? So if you've not seen the movie that we're about to mention, take this, put in your watch later, because we're about to literally just spew out a lot of information that we're going to be trying to shorten to the point. I'm talking about the movie The Arrival. And again, disclaimer, if you've not seen the movie, you owe it to yourself to watch. That's the only spoiler I'll give you.
Don't watch any spoilers. You're doing yourself a disservice. It's a really good movie.
Yes.
So if you haven't watched it, please do not watch it.
And we might make like a 1 minute, and I mean only 1 minute, non-spoiler review. Alright, here we go. So, you got, oh my gosh, Amy Adams. She played the role of Louise Banks, Dr. Louise Banks. You got Jeremy Renner that played the role of Ian Donnelly. You got Forrest Whitaker up in this joint. These are three powerhouse actors. All of them have been Oscar nominated. But what we're going to talk about is the dynamics of what happened in the end of this movie. Because, I mean, one, the whole concept of this movie, the whole entire time I was rationally thinking, what the heck are they going to do? And then by the end of the movie, I had to think irrationally to understand what the heck was going on. Because at the point that, you know what I'm saying, Ian and Louise first got in contact with the ship and went in, that first moment where they were like getting pulled up and all of a sudden he like threw like a pen or something into the air. I forget what it was.
Glow stick.
And the glow stick stuck to the forward ground, so they're looking up. And then all of a sudden the gravity shifted to the wall, so the wall itself was a way of actually going up. That was just crazy. But then the concept of why they got a bird in there, why they got like filming going on, like what the heck was going on? That whole concept, I was like, how are they supposed to put language to something that you can't even conceive to understand, you know? That was mind-blowing. But what we're gonna talk about is the concept of time, space, and language. Because the whole thing was, at the very end, is that we got an understanding that Louise, she was able to go back and forth through moments of time. And the whole concept is that she learned a language from these beings, from these creatures, that's transcended space and time. So for her actually understanding them, they called it a weapon. That was the only way they can kind of describe it, because it's not just something of understanding. Their mode of conversation and understanding is deeper than words. It actually transcends what their actions are and what their past is and what their present will be. And to understand that, that's the reason why they write things in art. And from the very beginning, when she first got up there into the ship, she straight up was having flashbacks of what we thought was flashbacks. But did you want to touch on the big twist that you caught with the flashbacks? Well, what we thought the flashbacks.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because they do a good job of misleading.
Oh my gosh.
Because the movie starts off with like her letter or her thoughts or a message to her daughter.
Yeah.
Who you find out has a form of cancer, and then and it's fatal. And this is what this information we're given from the first scene of the movie. Now, you're led to believe the entire movie, through the entire progression of the movie, that that happened in the past, sometime in the past.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the movie, she has having a conversation with one of these beings, and she's asking about these visions she's been getting, or what we thought were memories, and she asks, who is
this girl?
This girl.
Yeah.
And she's talking about her daughter. It was like, wait, she has not had her daughter yet.
Exactly.
So she's actually getting future glimpses of the future versus memories from the past. And like, that was, to us, that was like, yo, this is nuts.
And it was weird though, because there were different key moments that she needed to understand them that she pulled from conversations with her daughter. Her daughter came up with this, she was talking to her about like, what does it mean to kind of compromise in a scientific term? And at the time, when she was talking to her daughter kind of like walked off on her. And then Ian mentioned the same exact phrase that the daughter was referring to. And then that was how she was able to make that compromise and understand the judgment between a weapon and the compromise of, just trade of conversation. And it's crazy because you find out that Ian was the freaking dad. And I mean, it was crazy because she had described throughout with the conversations with the daughter, which I'll call flash forwards, not flashbacks, is describing the dad as a scientist. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they might hit it off. And then you come to find out this is him to a T. And the reason why, in my personal opinion, we don't know, the reason why he left is because she probably mentioned to him and said to him, look, when I found out the language, that I was able to go back and forth in time. I know what's going to happen to our daughter. I knew before she was even born what was going to happen. And I could have told you, but I didn't. And she chose that. That was a selfish decision. But for him, he just couldn't grasp that. That why would you put me in a situation of loving someone that's going to be taken from me? And I mean, for me, that's dope deep, bro.
Dang, that is deep.
I mean...
That is deep.
The beginning of the movie when they show her with her daughter on her deathbed, I was trying to understand why she's so calm. Like, people will be broken. And she was sad, she was crying, but she wasn't broken. Now I understand why. She made a choice. She could have changed at a certain point when she realized that the language she learned could be, a tool to change or just maintain it. And she asked Ian, I guess, the question of like, if you knew what was going to be your future, would you change it? I can't remember what his answer was, but she made a choice there that even in spite of her daughter dying, that she would want to go and live that time with her, even without Ian, which is even crazier. So it's like she made the ultimate sacrifice, and it's like she's got this slew of knowledge. But one thing me and Joe even talked about was that the aliens had said to her in conversation when she got put up into the tube is that 1,000 years from now, the weapon that she carries, they're going to need. We found out that the weapon itself was the language. But the language itself, it defies not just communication with the aliens, but understanding past and present. And which is crazy. So that means that the reason why they went there is because they knew just from there, the way their mind works, that 1,000 years later, we're going to need your help. But this is my question to you, Joe. Do you think they came from the future? Because at a certain point, they said that all the spheres were going to come together, or all the pieces will kind of come together. But they just evaporated, right? And every single time that they kind of show their language through, I guess, whatever, their little squid hands or whatever, it just pulls out this kind of dust. And for them to evaporate like that, I took it as almost like time travel, personally.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't really know.
Definitely.
I really don't know. I mean, what are your takeaways, Joe, in this spoiler?
I don't know. I don't know what they... there's a lot of mystery to, the aliens. There's a lot of mysteries. There's a lot of things that they leave open-ended concerning these beings. Because for one, it's kind of mysterious, because one of the aliens, to what we've been told, dies.
Yeah. It might have been from that exposure because they couldn't live in the environment of the atmosphere. The atmosphere itself supposedly would kill them. So maybe when the explosion went off and they kind of pushed him out, that he died within that time frame. Maybe. I don't know.
So that he died. And not only that, but the fact that they had 12 ships, and one thing that they hadn't mentioned is that they're like a part of 12 or something like that. I don't think that was. I still have some questions about that. Not only that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they would need help from the humans, because they said that that they were gonna. Their purpose was to give them this weapon to help humanity, and then humanity's gonna in turn help them. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to figure out, because if they're giving them the language that could ultimately give them the ability to predict the future, and that's something that they already possess, why would they need their help in, predicting the future? I don't know. Maybe they lose their language, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
That's deep.
But it's interesting in how, and then one thing she did like that they had showed a clip of was like her writing a book. It was called like the Universal Language or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is so deep. It's a really deep movie. Like the whole concept of language, time, is so deep. And then like I find it pretty interesting how like she doesn't, like you mentioned, she has the power to where she could literally change her destiny, but she doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that, one thing she said, she kind of hinted on like, it changed her perspective on like time itself, or just her moments.
Yeah.
Where she's at, and I was like, yo, that's so good.
Yeah. But then it's like, you don't know. I mean, the whole concept of time and space travel in and of itself, or even if it's like jumping and forward in time, you don't know ramifications of what you do. Is something as a byproduct of what you started, or if it was just going to happen anyway. Because when there was a moment where, they were leaving, everything seemed like it was done. Like China was ready to bomb one of the freaking spacecrafts. And she had this flash forward of her talking to the general of the freaking of China, and he had said like, I gave you my number, and I was like, how? I mean, one, did she really get the number from that moment in the future, or did she conceive that moment to happen? That's the thing that I'm like, it is so mind blowing.
I want to know too, because I want to know this as well. I had this question because there was different countries that they landed in.
Yeah.
And there were people who knew what they were saying, that was able to communicate them to a degree.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was looking at the general like, does he know? You know what I'm saying? Like, does he have the ability to?
Yeah.
So he helped her, kind of? I don't know. Or does he know of the ability and was able to help her?
Yeah. And,
you know what I'm saying?
And it's unclear if she most likely, out of all of them, got the most out of the language. And she's basically kind of like the chosen one in that standpoint. But I feel like there were other people and other locations that were also chosen as well. And the thing about it is, it's not even so much about her. It was the fact that they've realized she would be the most effective to communicate it to everybody. They needed everybody to work together before they left. Now, whether or not they didn't get that, I don't know what they would have done. That would have been really interesting. But long story short, the whole entire world had to work together to get this done. Because even though she was getting stuff done, they had people on the line that was like, all right, I got this far. All right, I got this far. I maybe had this. So it was like a unification was actually really needed. And I think that as much as they gave her the language, they needed everybody to work together so that organically they would be able to really truly learn it and be able to receive it, which is crazy. That's even more of a crazy message, especially given what we're going through right now, working together to be able to receive. Like, that whole concept is just insane. So, I mean, long story short, I know we've gone a lot in this. The movie was excellent. It was amazing, visually immersive. It's something that you cannot miss. I give it a 10 out of 10. We'll make a short non-spoiler review. You got anything else, Joe? You only got a little bit of time.
Was the universal language time? Was the universal language time?
At the end of the day, it is. Because the whole thing is the way that their language goes, it's neither backwards or forward. It's symbiotic. It goes in the same exact amount with flushed out words and moments in place. And the only way you can understand that is to be able to really conceive it. It's just that's crazy. So the thing about language, and this is my final thing about it, we got to end it because this is about to end. Anybody that really truly understands language, the more language you actually get, the more your brain starts to change. There are people that are different languages that their words are like, and there's a thud that comes out of it. There are certain things about that changes the different parts of their brain to be able to perceive knowledge better. And you can look it up. But either way, I enjoyed the movie. We gotta go. We'll do a small non-spoiler review. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Rival. Woo! Peace, everybody.